What a diving stop by Ashlyn Harris!
And a great save there from Ashlyn Harris.
And Harris does it once again!
Her skill set was second to none.
And she gives the finger wag.
Ashlyn wanted to win everything. She wanted to win every game she played in.
Harris gives me goosebumps.
She played with a chip on her shoulder.
Ashlyn Harris, what a magnificent save.
She's easily the most competitive person that I've coached.
She was tough. She was a rough little cookie.
USA! USA! USA!
If she had been a goalkeeper during a different period, her international recognition would have been off the charts.
Won 3 national championships with UNC. I finally got my break. I was supposed to be the next big thing, and then, boom, everything changed.
She couldn't have timed it any worse.
When your Hope Solo's back up, greatest goalkeeper in the world, that's not a healthy place to be.
I wanted to be the #1. Second string was failure.
The fact that she is not on the Olympic roster is beyond me.
No one knew what Ash was dealing with.
I had so many injuries.
And I fell into a real deep, dark place.
Ash didn't compete every day to sit on the bench.
I had no idea what I was walking into. And I lost everything.
A few months ago, Ashlyn said, I'm gonna go to the gym. Come, I'll train you with me.
Yeah, good reach. Yep, good. Posture's perfect.
Absolutely not. You enjoy whatever it is you're about to do. I'm done.
I loved the pain of sports. Working out so hard that I just was bent over, gasping for air. I would push my body to lengths that felt weirdly good because I could feel something. I was born in Cape Canaveral, Florida, right next to Cocoa Beach. My mom, Tammy, and my dad, Mike, they met in high school at the same high school I went to. I have an older brother, Chris. We did everything together. We were always outside. Whether it was building skate parks in the street, doing roller hockey, playing football, tag. I wanted to be like my brother, so I did everything he did. I was 4 years old when I first started playing soccer. That was the start of everything. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I could tell at the beginning that she was going to be very good at this.
Ashlyn just loved that soccer ball. She liked going after it. She wasn't scared of anybody coming toward her.
I played 2 years up on a boys' soccer team. For me to be this young girl playing on a boys' team, I had to plant dominance right away, or I would become a target.
She was tough. She was a rough little cookie.
The best thing I could do was slide tackle, and I would destroy people. Use my elbows a lot, foul a lot. I was getting yellow cards and red cards. My coach was like, "You're such a liability. If you're gonna spend most of the time on the floor tackling people, I'm gonna put you in goal." And I loved it.
She talked some smack to those boys. You want to play? Come on into mine. Come into my house. And she called that area her house.
And I never looked back. Being a goalkeeper was really exciting for me because there was no gray area. You couldn't hide. You either saved the game or you blew it for your team. I loved that pressure. I wanted that pressure. And then everything changed.
We were all having a cookout. All the men took the pontoon boat, went out in the water.
It was a beautiful day. And then kind of out of nowhere, a pretty bad storm came rolling in.
There was a horrific accident. I saw helicopters landing, ambulance. We were like, what happened?
I saw the two other gentlemen that were with the boat come running up with like looks on their faces that like I'll just never forget.
That night I found out it was my dad. My dad was hit by a boat in the marina. The boat was out of power and there was no communication. So my dad jumped off to swim for help and was ran over by another boat. My dad saw it coming, dove down, got in a fetal position. The double propeller sucked him up, practically cut him in half. He had enough time to surface and scream. They got him out, packed him, stopped the bleeding before he bled out.
I rode in the ambulance and they told me that he didn't have much of a chance. Once I got to the hospital, they just said, it's a miracle that this happened. I'm going to tell you, when you're in this type of a field, you do see angels because that somebody pulled his sciatic nerve out, or it should have been severed.
My dad was in the hospital for a very, very long time, and I was 11, so I didn't understand the severity of it. My brother was very strong, didn't show much emotion. I heard him wailing in the shower, and I was like, uh-oh, this could be very bad for our family.
That's when everything just changed for all of us. It just, everything went sideways.
Boom. Everything changed. We got on food stamps. My mom worked nights and worked a day job. My dad was in the hospital or in rehab doing his thing, or when he came back into the home, he was so checked out. He spent most of his time at a bar or with his buddies. Both me and my brother started turning to the streets more. Partly a cry for attention, and partly our parents are never around, let's have fun. Sixth grade, I was in bars, doing drugs and drinking, stealing, just very reckless behavior. My parents fought a lot. The house was never safe for me. When they would fight, I would go into this construction site that was roped off. There was this massive barrel that was concrete, and I would hide. I'd smoke cigarettes, huff paint, numb out, ridiculous shit that No kid should be doing at that age. But that was my safe space.
She was wild, but she had to be. Like, she had to get out some type of energy with the things that she saw and that happened within the household growing up. But she still had the discipline, the focus when it came to soccer.
Whatever Ashlyn put her mind to, she was gonna do. She was going to be someone, and she was going to be something.
When I was about 13, I got called in to my first U.S. national team camp. It was a U15 camp, so I was playing up. I walked in, there was a booklet on my seat, and it said, U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA. The f is this? For anyone else 13, they didn't care. Here I am, I finally got my break, small town girl. I wasn't even gonna pass my drug test. My coaches knew I was in a bad place. They were like, you have a real chance to be the one. All of this other stuff can't be a part of your life if you really want it. When camp would end, I didn't want to go back home knowing how bad it was. The drinking and the drugs between my parents, it was just explosions. I was like, I gotta get the out of this. I have no choice. I have no choice. I have to find a way to get out. My brother had to carry a lot to make sure I was okay, to make sure my mom was okay. I think he got lost in it. I had soccer, and he turned to alcohol and drugs.
I got a phone call from the girls' coach at Satellite High School. I've got a goalkeeper. You have to work with her. She's excellent. And that was the first time I heard her name, and I said, okay, so we started the process. It was obvious with Ashlyn that she was already good. She was super athletic. She had courage. She would dive. She would fly all over the place. The hardest thing I had to do with her was keep her off the field when she needed a break. All she wanted to do was train. Her work ethic was unbelievable. She always showed up ready to practice.
Ashlyn was one of the only youth national team players to play up. I was playing with the under 20 and under 21 national team, and here was this 13-year-old playing with the U17, U19 national team. I went to University of North Carolina. I come home in the summer, and Ashlyn and I would train. She was different, man. She could never get enough. She trained like a psycho. I could never hit the ball hard enough. She had this like, maybe almost an anger about her. Ashlyn is a phenom at this point. But very few knew what Ashlyn was dealing with at home. She's training like a professional athlete on food stamps. You can just see the desperation in between the drugs and the alcohol she was around at home. I'll never forget, she called me. Something major had happened at home. She was hiding from her parents in the garage. Desperation in her voice.
I said, is college my ticket out? And she was like, yeah. At the point in my life, no one in my family went to college. I said, I'd like to call the head coach at the University of North Carolina. Can you give me his number?
And I remember just saying, call him. All I could think of as a 20-something-year-old was, we have to get her to Chapel Hill. And we have to get her to Chapel Hill now.
For the last 25 years, the University of North Carolina women's soccer team has become not only the most dominant team in college soccer, but in all of Division I college sports. Under the direction of their legendary coach, Anson Dorrance, they've won 17 national championships. Many of the greatest names in women's soccer, including the most famous player in the history of the sport, Mia Hamm.
I grabbed my phone, I closed my door, I hid in my closet. I knew I was gonna say some things to him that I didn't want my parents to hear. I dialed the number and he was like, "This is Anson." And I was like, "Hi, Anson, this is Ashlyn Harris." And he was like, "Hey, oh my God, I've heard about you. I've heard you're doing great things." And I said, "I wanna go to your school. Can you make it happen?"
You're always desperate to find the extraordinary leaders. I wanted to recruit a woman that wanted to be the alpha, that wants to dominate practice.
He had no idea my story. And he was like, "Done."
Ashlyn checked every box for me.
I verbally committed to North Carolina when I was 13 and I was in 8th grade. There was only plan A for me. There was no plan B.
It was never a doubt where she wanted to go to school. That was our pathway at that point, was next step, UNC, and let's get prepared for that.
I knew my parents went through enough, and I didn't want them to feel bad because I knew they couldn't afford to send me to school. There was no money. I needed to get a full ride at Carolina. I did everything I could to put myself in environments that made me better. I practiced with the boys team every single day and lifted all the weights with the football guys. I was on a mission, and that mission was to get a full ride.
I will never forget this day. It was so touching. And this is the story. I want to cry. Anson said, "Ashlyn, I'm going to give you a full scholarship." And at that moment, she started jumping on her bed and she started screaming for me in there. And it was just so touching that my child was that serious.
Going off to college, and my grandparents in that RV picked me up and drove me to North Carolina. I had no idea. I didn't own a jacket. I don't think I ever had seen snow. It was a sink or swim moment.
You could see the beach in her when she arrived. Cool and laid back. She was definitely adjusting to a new environment.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
She wasn't the tallest, wasn't the fastest, couldn't jump the highest, but this kid could really play. I think she played with a chip on her shoulder. Ashlyn wanted to win everything. She used the weapons that she had available, and she maximized them. She was an alpha, and she wasn't afraid to tell people what to do. She had a command of the players in front of her, and she wasn't bashful. If someone wasn't doing the job, they heard from her immediately. I knew she was going to be magnificent. She wanted to be the best.
And then I blew out my knee. I was supposed to be the next big thing. There goes my first season. That's when I first started understanding I don't have a plan B. And then I get a phone call from my brother. He said, "Hey, Dad filed for bankruptcy and we're losing the house and we're packing up your room. What do you want us to keep?" I said, "I don't want anything. Like, I'll never go back there again." When my parents finally got divorced, I know my dad waited that long because he didn't want me to carry that weight. That was a real turning point for me. going to rehab every single day, trying to keep up with my grades, being alone. That's when I got introduced to Adderall. I would take it to pull all-nighters, studying for tests. I loved the kick it gave me. Once I started taking it, I was like, oh, Tuesdays are fitness days. I need a little more energy. I'm surprised I didn't give myself a heart attack. And then partying started and going to clubs and out till all hours of the night, and making sure I was awake for 8 a.m. class and training. And my coaches were really worried about me. When I got back, in the first week I was on the field, I got a call from the head coach of the full U.S. women's national team. And he said, we've been dying to get you into camp. We heard you're back from your ACL. Let me know if you're ready. First game I played, I jumped up for a cross and a boy went through my plant leg and I buckled my other knee.
She did one ACL and then did another ACL. We had a conversation about whether she was going to continue playing because I think now she's on her third major injury.
That's when I fell into a real deep, dark place. A lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of substance abuse. I was using Adderall and I started losing a lot of weight because I wasn't eating, which probably was a big part of my injuries and being up all night. It all makes sense. But also, I was getting drug tested because I was still a part of the US team and still a part of the anti-doping agency, and I knew how to cheat the system. My best friend in college, Whitney Engen, she made sure I got up every day for rehab, and she really, really supported me. She was one of those people that believed in me.
I needed a good role model, and when she came into my life, she taught me the importance of an education and of school and priorities.
That is when it clicked in and I focused on my academics. I was on the dean's list. I was speaking to my sports psychologist and I just said it to him. I'm using Adderall inappropriately and I'm getting injured and I'm partying, and I think this could really jeopardize me.
Having an injury, having to deal with adversity, having to overcome a situation like that it just builds my character.
I had 2 ACLs, tore the labrum in my right hip, and I shattered my thumb in a span of 4.5 years.
I genuinely feel that Ashlyn could play with a bone sticking through her sock. That's how tough she was.
We should go out there as a team. And this is not a building here. I don't know what he's saying. We are good. We're damn good. Now let's prove it.
I ended up getting back and I won 3 national championships with UNC. I graduated with over a 3.5 GPA. And when I left college in 2009, I got a phone call from Paul Rogers, goalkeeper coach in St. Louis. He said, we're gonna draft you to be Hope Solo's replacement when she has to leave for World Cups and Olympics. And I was clearly so grateful to get drafted. But I didn't do all of this work. I didn't sacrifice and risk all of this and heartache and the journey to get here to be someone's backup. The shift from college sports to professional sports is a very, very big jump. No one was there to hold my hand. This is the pros now. College was fun. You had your girls. No one was getting cut. No one was getting paid. It was like a sorority soccer team, right? It was like fun. Now it was, you don't do your job, you're gone.
When Ashlyn Harris jumped into the pro league, it was a shock. They weren't prepared for her, and she also wasn't prepared for them.
My first pro contract. I played behind Hope Solo. It was a very humbling experience.
She couldn't have timed it any worse to collide with Hope Solo. That was colliding with possibly the greatest of all time that kept Ashlyn off the field as a starter. Hope is the best I've ever seen, and that collision was too difficult for Ashlyn.
At the beginning, all I wanted was her to like me. I wanted to be her friend. She didn't give a about me. She was there to be the best goalkeeper in the world, and anything else was a distraction. I didn't want to show weakness. Hope didn't want to show weakness. She had the reputation. People were scared shitless to go up against her. I was scared shitless to train with her. I remember showing up and she would already be training. Everyone would look at me and be like, why aren't you out there training with them? Because I didn't know they had training. It was really hard for me. Hope taught me a lot about being a pro. Was it hard? Absolutely. But it made me better. My first contract was $20,000. And I thought I was something.
Men's and women's professional pay back when Ash was playing wasn't even comparable. We would make in a year what some of those guys would make in a week. If Ashlyn was a male, she would have been a multi-millionaire. When Ashlyn was playing professional soccer, we were in survival mode. While you wanted to get paid, you also wanted the league to survive.
Halfway through the season, we went bankrupt.
It was pretty hard knock for us just because we enjoyed St. Louis.
The St. Louis Athletica folded. The Washington Freedom picked Harris up this month, and teammates quickly welcomed her to the team.
I got a call from the Washington Freedom saying, we want to sign you for $25,000. And I was like, yes, I'm climbing.
She's easily the most competitive person that I've coached. She can be quite honest and quite ruthless at times. And I think that's something that a lot of younger, new players struggled with. She would be quite harsh and quite direct with them, but they never understood that it came from a place that she wanted them to get better, because ultimately, if they were better, that would make the team better.
That year, we went into the playoffs, but I wanted more. After that year, I got picked up to play with the Western New York Flash. That was the year I was left off the World Cup roster. Did it suck? Yeah. Did it fuel me to be great that year? Yeah. I wasn't gonna sit and sulk, poor me. I had to shift that pain into performing for the Flash. I was gonna win that championship if it was the last thing I did. In the championship game, we went into penalty kicks. And the last penalty kick I saved.
Harris makes the save! Harris makes the save!
And I just remember just running.
And the Flash are the 2011 WPS champions!
I'm absolutely happy, every single part of me. I'm exhausted, but this is a good feeling, and I tell you what, we're gonna celebrate tonight, that's for sure.
I needed to prove a point to myself that I was worthy and good enough. That was it. My contract started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was $65,000, $75,000. My parents worked 2 jobs to make half of that. So I was cooking. That's when I met Ali Krieger. We just really hit it off. We would sit next to each other on the bus, and we were best friends.
We were like bus buddies. It was like the first time I ever really met Ash. We were laughing and talking and joking. Like, I don't know, I really loved your vibe and just the type of person she was.
She lived and played in Germany, and I was playing in DC, so we were living very different lives. But we were always like finding time to chat on like Skype.
Favorite city you visited during the World Cup?
Vancouver, 100%.
Yeah.
Best city in the world.
This really sweet, innocent connection happened. I never had dated a woman. We didn't want people to know. We weren't sharing rooms. We just did our thing, and we were friends, and then away from soccer, we were partners. At the same time, I kept grinding for U.S. soccer. Again, I played behind Hope solo.
And then when Hope was no longer in the picture with the women's national team, was it going to be Alyssa Nair? Was it going to be Ash? And I'm by no means saying that this is the reason, but Ash had an injury, and from then on, Alyssa kind of just took off.
Alyssa Nair worked her ass off. She ended up winning the #1 spot, and she deserved it.
If Ashlyn had been a goalkeeper during a different period, her international recognition would have been off the charts.
They're bringing you in as goalkeeper #2. Of course, Ashlyn was going to do it because it's the U.S. women's national team. But you're literally at the point where you're hoping someone gets injured. That's not a healthy place to be either. Ash didn't compete every day to sit on the bench.
It's what you wait your entire life for. I mean, this is our dream to be here, and I'm just waiting for my chance. That's part of the process.
I was surviving it. I didn't love it because I wanted to be the #1. So I had to figure out what was my role. And maybe my role is to make everyone else better, to drive the standard of every training, to give them every piece of me. So when they went out on that field, they knew how to hit the back of the net. 2019 World Cup, bunch of young players, and we had different leaders now. We didn't care what other people thought about us. We didn't care that we had to look a certain way and act a certain way. We were like wrecking balls.
For the 4th time, the United States of America are crowned champions of the world. USA! USA! USA!
It was finally showing the world who we were.
I get to spend every day with my best friend.
Trump was coming at us left and right. We didn't care. We said, great, we don't want to come see you anyway. During that time, we started hearing what the men were getting and how much they were getting to play.
Even though the women's team generated $20 million more in revenue than the men's team, the women earned 4 times less.
There was a real aha moment for me at the 2019 World Cup, probably the highlight of my career. I was listening to the crowd, and usually the crowd chants USA. And it sounded different, and I looked up. They were chanting equal pay, equal pay. And not only were our fans chanting it, the whole stadium, everyone. It wasn't just about our team, it was about women in general. And I knew in that moment that I would never be the same. And I wasn't.
What I want to make very clear is it's not that we want more money, we deserve more money.
After the World Cup, Ali and I Wanted to take the next step. We wanted to get married, but we understood that we would have to come out and tell people and tell our sponsors and tell our team and tell our coaches. And we did it together.
It is my honor to declare you married and partners in life for life.
We got a really great response to it. And then we started preparing for the Olympics in Tokyo, and COVID hit.
Reports from an IOC member that the 2020 Tokyo Olympics will be postponed until next year.
Postponing another year is a long time in the sports world, especially when you're at the end of your career. We were ready to start having a family and having kids and having a life outside of soccer and sport. So we decided to fill out the paperwork for adoption. We have no idea how long adoption will take in Florida for 2 queer women. And then sure enough, 3 weeks later, I matched with a baby, a little girl. Our careers being put on hold and we were kind of locked inside. It was a no-brainer for Allie and I.
Got a phone call like, hey, we're adopting a baby. And I was just like, all right. Like I just couldn't believe it.
We were new moms. We didn't know what we were doing. We were barely sleeping and we had to get up at 6 and 7 a.m. to make sure we were at practice by 9. Captains of the team and showing up and playing our part and giving everyone, all of us that we had that day. And I just remember like completely being on fumes. I thought I could do it all. We brought her on the road. There was so much love. She's the coolest kid in the world. I'm so lucky that I get to be her mom. We knew we couldn't stay in Orlando. Gay rights were being rolled back. They started doing the Don't Say Gay bill. I didn't want her to feel shame that her moms were gay and she couldn't talk about it at school. So we go to New York City and signed a contract for a few years and we're getting settled and boom, sure enough, we get a call. It's our social worker saying there was a baby. No prenatals, born in a car. I looked at Allie and she could see it in my eyes. I said, go buy a car seat, I'm driving there. We didn't tell the club. And I was like, well, we're gonna need a night nurse because if we're not gonna tell anyone, we gotta sleep. We already learned the hard way the last time. Not even 7 days of having him home, he went into respiratory failure because he was preemie. He was in the NICU for 2 weeks. Now we had to tell the club. I was not leaving that child. She was not leaving that child. In my head, I was like, this is why we're here. This is why we moved, just to save this little boy. We took a 2-week break. And I think after that, for me, it was like I was done.
Ashlyn Harris retired from professional soccer last week. Harris ended her 13-year senior career.
When you're a professional soccer player, every day is structured. You know what you're doing from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed. And when all that's stripped away, it's a really, really weird moment. It was like the blinders came off. It was like experiencing life for the first time since I was 8 years old. Everything in my life had been about performing and competing at the highest level. Allie and I did have that shared experience. But when it was all stripped away, I realized our relationship became more of a business than a partnership. We were strangers. The bigger the brand got, the more distance that came between us. For a long time, I pushed it down because I didn't want to hurt anyone.
But I knew I had to change. And I just dropped the rope. If I don't find myself, I'm done being here. It's just like I've been running since I was a kid. And like, it's really confronting. Well, your job is to show up for them. And I couldn't even show up for myself. And I didn't want to push my pain and trauma on them. So I had to strip it all back. And I lost everything. But I did what I only knew how to do. And I just totally went inward. I knew that if I was gonna raise my kids, I'd have to find myself. I knew that my storm couldn't become theirs. And I just dug in. At the end of the day, I'm human. I'm just like anyone else, and I struggle at times, and life gets difficult and life gets hard, and I live my life in the public eye, so everyone actually thinks they have an opinion of me and who I am when they don't know me at all. And the more we can hold each other through really hard times and make space for that, we'd all live in a better world.
What does purposeful disruption look like now that you're off the fields?
I have to be bold and brave enough to question the norm. So I do think we have a massive obligation to really shift the narrative that you have to be thin, tall, skinny, lean, athletic. Not all of us are built the same. I constantly want to hold myself accountable in terms of self-awareness of how I show up and how I serve.
To all my young voters, you guys account for half the voting population. Who we elect directly influences our lives for years.
I spent decades of carrying pain and blaming my parents. When I became a mom and realized how hard it was, when I got a divorce and my marriage was falling apart, it was very humbling for me how hard I was on them. They really did the best they could with what they had. And my relationship has completely changed. And I know what they sacrificed to make sure I could go to that tournament, or I could have this, or I could have that. Whatever it was. You surrender to all of the things that once served you that no longer do. And then Sophia walked into my life and changed everything. It took 1 second of breathing the same oxygen as her, knowing I had been searching for her my whole lifetime, and maybe that's why I was running.
You smell good.
It's the same way I always smell.
No, it smells different.
Maybe because I'm home.
No.
Being around Sophia was the first time I could really breathe. There was just something about her that made me feel safe.
I watched a bunch of friends try to set her up with someone. I was like, I have to say something. I had to tell her I loved her. I took her to dinner. This gorgeous, vibey, live music, like jazzy, dark pinks and reds, kind of beautiful bar. And I was like, I love her. What am I gonna do? I love her. And about, I wanna say it was like almost a year later, I'm at a friend's place in LA. He and his wife had gotten back from 6 months working in Spain. His wife is Spanish. And she goes, oh my God, Sophia, I've been waiting to tell you, and Kenny told me I should tell you in person. She goes, I saw you in New York, in this bar underground, you know, all pink with this woman. I swear to God, I saw you fall in love. I know you.
I think that could be a great hobby for me.
Treasure collecting?
Hell yes! That sounds like luxury retirement. Put me on the beach, let me just walk and find pirate coins, tokens.
You think there's any left?
I'm sure.
All right.
For the first time, I could be still. For the first time, I could sleep. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to run from anything, that I was actually home. You always envision home as a place that you're building, and it was like wherever she was and wherever those kids were, that was home. And that was safety. And it was ease.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks, baby. I love you.
When I see Ashlyn and Soph together, it's amazing how happy they are. It's nice to see. I'm happy for her. And she's worked hard for it.
Happy birthday, dear Christopher. Happy birthday to you.
Make a wish and make it good.
Yes.
My brother just checked the box of a year sober. Very happy to be here, happy to celebrate him.
I raised my kids to be strong. It's come full circle.
It was important for me to leave to find myself. It took me a long time to come back home, to feel that place of belonging, to feel that safety that I have been running from since I was a child. This is the place that made me. This is my home, and it's always gonna be my home. This is always gonna be my people. These streets are always gonna be my streets. These soccer fields are always gonna be my fields. Every part of me lives in this soil, and I won't forget that.